Hi, it's book club time again. I'm C.M. Vasquez, author of The Birdcage Society Falling, the first in an ongoing psychological mystery series. Today I'm going to be talking about Chapter 10 of Darkly Dreaming Dexter. This chapter starts off with Dexter sitting on the trunk of his car, and LaGuerta next to him, ready to provide comfort, that of course, we know he doesn't need. She tells him that the rest of the body was found inside a goal net at a hockey rink, and the man who discovered the remains was driving a Zamboni at the time. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this term, Zamboni, no worries. I actually didn't know what it was until a few years ago. I'm not a sports person, but a Zamboni is the machine that resurfaces the ice, and it was actually named after the inventor, Frank Zamboni. Anyway, I bring this up because LaGuerta keeps mispronouncing it as Samboni, and also has no idea what it is. She says that she needs someone to go over there who knows hockey. And of course, Dexter chimes in that he does know hockey because, well, he does. He finds the rink to be rather calming and he's gone there a few times with Rita. But, of course, he chimes in that he wants to go because he wants to examine the body. He wants to see the work of the killer. And LaGuerta agrees to it because it gives them time to talk. Now, obviously, she's implying that he will be riding with her to the rink. I assume because Dexter's car, at least for a little while, will be detained as part of the crime scene, since the head did make contact with his car. I'm sure once they reach the ice rink, though, Dokes will have something to say, because LaGuerta has revealed that Dokes is already present at the rink. I think that he will find Dexter's presence to be not necessarily suspicious, but out of the ordinary because there won't be any blood there. And I believe that Dokes will question Dexter on why he was out so late and how he just happened to be where the killer was, so the killer could interact with him in some way. Dokes may be hot-headed, but he has good instincts as a cop, so I'm assuming there will be some type of interaction between them. LaGuerta didn't question Dexter on this matter at all. Again, that's not surprising for her, since we know how awful she is at her job. But what she did question him on was whether he saw the driver, which of course he didn't, and whether he was sure that it was a refrigerated truck, which she asked him about 5 times. Clearly, LaGuerta is fuming and in disbelief that Deb turned out to be right. Dexter thinks that LaGuerta will still try to undermine Deb in some way, even knowing this, and I have to agree with this. Probably something along the lines of, a good detective would have followed this lead, even after being told that it was bogus. Probably something like that. Dexter hops into LaGuerta's car, and they make their way to the rink in record time, of course, because LaGuerta's a speed demon on the road, weaving in and out of traffic. I'm not surprised by that either. She definitely seems like the kind of cop that would think the rules of the road don't apply to her. What I find the most interesting, though, about the car ride is Dexter's little panic attack. He catches on from LaGuerta's body language and questions that she might be romantically into him. And this causes Dexter to go into full contemplation mode. Dexter has a good rapport with LaGuerta. He's been putting on his signature charm for her for years, and he notes that she is career-driven, and the hours they work, because they're in the same line of work, would be more forgivable. And it's like this is another good way for him to blend in, like it's just suddenly dropped itself in his lap. But why the panic attack, I wonder? Is it because this is a good opportunity for normalcy, that he thinks he'd have to take LaGuerta on if she made a move? Or is it that even though the kiss with Rita may have ended their relationship, that he wants Rita over what may be a better fit for a careful life? Now, when they arrive at the rink, Dexter beelines to the entrance and on to the crime scene. He is giddy with excitement. He calls the killer's work stunning and absolutely perfect. And Dexter questions again the reasons he has for going after him. Does he want the killer to stop? Is Dexter just hiding behind the guise of helping Deb? He's certainly in awe of this man and wants to learn from him. But I think perhaps Dexter can learn from him. He can learn a lot from this man. But will he be the one that causes Dexter to break the code of Harry? I certainly hope not. But I would also be okay with Dexter learning and this killer teaching him a thing or two before Dexter ultimately does what he does. Surprisingly, though, Dokes doesn't talk to Dexter at this point. He just gives him the stank eye. And I suspect there will be more coming, probably in the next chapter. I don't think Dokes is going to let it go, especially if he finds out that nobody has questioned Dexter properly. But Deb is actually there too. And, naturally, she's angry at Dexter because he didn't think to call her about his hunch. She punches him in the ribs and then continues to poke him in the same spot as she grills him. You know, just a little playful violence among siblings. But what I find upsetting, or at least aggravating, is that no one had told Deb that the driver who threw the head at at Dexter's car was driving a refrigerated truck. Like, these cops are too prideful to admit that Deb was right, especially to her face. But Deb is pretty excited when Dexter tells her about this, because it may spell advancement in her career. And I have to agree. Batista, who has been there examining the body while all of this was happening, yells across the rink at LaGuerta that he's found something. And he holds up the rear view mirror of the refrigerated truck. Now, this is how chapter 10 ends, but I think that in the next chapter, we're going to get LaGuerta's thoughts on it, and she is going to assume again that the killer left the mirror there by accident, that he was in some kind of hurry. But I think that the killer is taunting them. I think that he's confident, that he is a bit arrogant even, and that could also be why he threw the head at the truck. But we'll find out what Dexter thinks about it in the next chapter, in chapter 11, and I'm looking forward to that. So join me on Wednesday. Join me on Wednesday, not Friday. I'll see you next time. Bye.